The alien world of Velmora was calm on the surface, but strict beneath it. Tall crystal towers reflected the pale blue sky. Ships moved in silent lines above the cities. Everything followed rules. Every life followed a path decided long before birth. On Velmora, love was not chosen. It was assigned. The alien girl Salith stood near a wide balcony inside the council hall. Her skin shimmered softly under the lights, changing color with her emotions, though she tried hard to control it. She was young, but not weak. She was trained in law, science, and diplomacy since childhood. One day, she would serve the council. Her future was already written. Today was supposed to be simple, a joint meeting with humans. Just politics. Just words. Humans were new to Velmora. Strange beings with soft skin, short lives, and loud emotions. Most elders believed humans were unstable. Useful, maybe, but dangerous. Salith had never seen a human before. When the doors opened, the human delegation entered. They walked differently than her people. Not graceful, not stiff, just natural. Her eyes passed over many faces until they stopped on one man. He was not tall compared to others, not loud, not important looking. He wore a simple uniform. His eyes moved slowly, taking everything in. He looked calm, but not cold. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Salith felt something tighten in her chest. She looked away quickly, her skin flickering in surprise. That reaction frightened her more than the human did. Emotions were trained, shaped, controlled. Sudden feelings were signs of immaturity. Still, she glanced back. The human was listening to a translator, nodding slightly. He noticed her again and gave a small, respectful nod. Not a smile, not a stare, just acknowledgement. No human had ever looked at her like that. The meeting went on for hours, talks of shared trade routes, defense agreements, and medical exchanges. Salith was assigned to observe and record behavioral notes. She watched carefully. The human man spoke only when needed. When others argued, he waited. When questioned, he answered clearly. He never interrupted. He never raised his voice. At one point, an elder mocked human emotional weakness. Laughter echoed in the hall. The human did not react with anger. He simply said, "Emotion doesn't make us weak. It tells us what matters." The room went quiet. Salith felt her chest tighten again. After the meeting ended, delegates scattered into private halls. Salith collected her data tablet, preparing to leave, when a soft voice spoke behind her. "Excuse me." She turned. The human stood a respectful distance away, close enough to speak, far enough to show caution. "I was told you're recording behavioral notes," he said. "Yes," Salith replied carefully. "That is correct. I hope we didn't cause problems," he said. "First meetings are always awkward." She studied him. He looked nervous now, but not afraid. "No problems were recorded," she said. "Your conduct was stable." He smiled faintly. "That's a good thing, right?" She paused. "Yes, I'm Elias," he said, touching his chest briefly. "Cultural liaison." "Salith," she replied. "Council apprentice." "Nice to meet you, Salith." The way he said her name felt strange. Gentle, like it mattered. Before she could respond, a council guard approached. The moment ended. Elias nodded once more and walked away. Salith watched him go. That night, she could not rest. Her thoughts returned to the human again and again. His calm voice, his words, his eyes. She told herself it was curiosity, nothing more. The next cycle, the council summoned her. She stood before the elders, hands folded, posture perfect. "Salith," the High Elder said, "your maturity evaluation is complete." Her heart raced. You have been assigned a mate. The words hit her harder than expected. She had always known this day would come. Still, her skin flickered faintly, betraying her shock. The pairing strengthens 3 bloodlines, the elder continued.
You will meet him within the cycle.
Salith bowed.
I accept the council's wisdom.
The words tasted wrong. That evening, she found herself walking the outer corridors of the human guest wing. She told herself she was gathering more data. She stopped when she heard a quiet sound, someone struggling with a control panel. Elias stood there, frowning at a door interface. These things hate me, he muttered. She stepped forward. You are attempting the wrong sequence. He looked up, surprised and relieved. Figures, he said. Can you help? She reached out, adjusted the settings, and the door opened smoothly. Thank you, he said. I was starting to think it was personal. She hesitated. You are welcome. They stood there in silence. You don't have to leave, Elias said gently, if you don't want to. Salith felt something inside her shift. They talked. Not about politics. Not about laws. He told her about Earth. About oceans and storms and music. She told him about Velmora's stars and ancient cities. He listened as if every word mattered. Hours passed unnoticed. When she finally returned to her quarters, her mind was full, and her heart felt dangerously alive. Days passed. Meetings continued, and Salith kept finding reasons to speak with Elias. But each time the bond grew. Then came the ceremony. Salith stood before the assigned mate, a high-ranking alien noble. He was perfect by every standard, strong bloodline, correct behavior, no surprises, no warmth. As the binding words began, Salith's gaze drifted across the hall. She saw Elias standing among the human delegates. Their eyes met. Something inside her broke. She stepped back. Gasps filled the hall. I cannot proceed. Silence fell. Silence fell. This pairing is lawful, the High Elder said sharply. I know, Salith replied, her voice trembling. But it is not right. You will obey. No, she said softly, then louder. I choose my own mate. Shock turned to anger. Choice is forbidden, the Elder said. You speak treason. Salith turned toward the humans. I choose him, she said, pointing at Elias. The room erupted. Elias froze, stunned. Guards moved. Salith did not run. She stood tall, fear burning in her chest, but also certainty. For the first time in Velmora's long history, an alien girl had broken the law not out of rebellion, but out of love. And nothing would ever be the same again. The hall did not calm after Salith's words. Shock turned into chaos. Elders shouted commands. Guards moved fast, weapons glowing but not firing. The human delegates stood frozen, confused by the sudden change in tone and movement. Elias felt as if the air had been pulled from his lungs. He stared at Salith. Her skin was glowing in unstable colors now. Fear, resolve, and something deeper. She had pointed at him, chosen him. In front of everyone, he took one step forward without thinking. Wait, he said, his voice echoing more than he expected. Several guards turned toward him at once. The High Elder raised a hand. The human will remain silent. Elias stopped, but he did not look away from Salith. She met his eyes, and for a moment everything else disappeared. Then the guards surrounded her. She did not resist as energy restraints closed around her wrists. Her posture stayed straight, her eyes stayed calm, even as her skin shimmered with fear she could not fully hide. Salith of Velmora, the High Elder declared, you are charged with violation of mating law, disruption of council order, and ideological contamination. The words were heavy, ancient, final. Elias felt anger rise in his chest, sharp and unfamiliar in such a controlled place. "This is insane," he said. The hall went silent again. No human had ever spoken out of turn in the council hall. The High Elder slowly turned his gaze to Elias. "You will learn restraint, human." Elias clenched his fists. "She made a choice. That shouldn't be a crime. Choice is chaos," the Elder replied. "Order is survival." Syleth was led away before Elias could say more. That night, the human wing was restless. Delegates argued quietly. Messages were sent to Earth Command. No one had expected this. Elias sat alone in his room, staring at the wall. He replayed every moment in his mind, every conversation, every look. He wondered if he had led her into danger without meaning to. On the other side of the city, Syleth sat in a holding chamber beneath the council hall. The room was smooth, white, and silent. No chains, no guards inside. "Se m'échappe da..." Just invisible barriers and the weight of her actions. She pressed her hands together, trying to steady herself. She was afraid, but she did not regret it. For the first time in her life, the future was not written. That terrified her and thrilled her at the same time. A door shimmered open. The High Elder entered alone. "You have embarrassed the council," he said calmly. "I spoke the truth," Syleth replied. "The truth is irrelevant," he said. "Stability matters." She lifted her chin. "Stability built on fear will break." The Elder studied her. "Humans have filled your thoughts with dangerous ideas." "No," she said. "He showed me something I was never allowed to see." "And what is that?" She answered without hesitation, "That a bond means nothing if it is forced." The Elder turned away. "You will face judgment at the next cycle." When he left, Syleth felt the weight of what was coming settle on her chest. Exile was likely, perhaps worse. Still, when she closed her eyes, she saw Elias's face. Not afraid, but steady. That gave her strength. The next day, Elias demanded answers. He stood before the human commander, voice tight with controlled anger. "They can't just lock her away," he said. "She didn't hurt anyone." The commander sighed. "This isn't our world, Elias. That doesn't make it right." "No," the commander agreed, "but starting a conflict won't help her." Elias looked down, jaw tight. "Then what will?" The commander paused, understanding their laws and finding the cracks. That night, Elias requested access to Valmoran legal archives. The request surprised the alien administrators, but denying it would risk diplomatic damage. After long delays, access was granted. Elias read for hours. Ancient laws, old fears, a past filled with wars caused by uncontrolled alliances and emotional decisions. The mating laws had been created to prevent conflict, not cruelty. But over centuries, they had become rigid and absolute. He found something interesting. The laws spoke of biological incompatibility and species threat, but humans were classified as neutral allies, not forbidden entities. Syleth's crime was not choosing a human, it was choosing it all. Elias felt a spark of hope. Meanwhile, whispers spread through Valmora. Young scholars questioned the trial. Scientists debated whether emotional suppression truly benefited their species. Some guards looked at Syleth differently now, not as a criminal, but as someone brave enough to say what many had never dared to think. Syleth noticed the change. A young guard delivering nutrient tablets hesitated before leaving. "You are not broken," he said quietly. "Neither are you." He left quickly, but his skin flickered with thought. On the day of judgment, the council hall filled again. Salith was brought forward, free of restraints but surrounded by guards. Elias stood among the human delegates, heart pounding. The High Elder spoke. "Salith of Velmora, do you deny your actions?" "No," she said. "Do you renounce the human?" She looked straight at Elias. "No." A murmur rippled through the hall. "Then you accept the consequences." Before the sentence could be spoken, Elias stepped forward. "I request permission to speak." Silence. The elder stared at him. "You have no standing here." "I do," Elias said calmly. "Because this concerns me." The human commander did not stop him. Against expectation, the elder raised his hand. "Speak." Elias took a breath. "I don't claim ownership over her," he said. "I didn't ask for her loyalty. She chose me freely. If that is a crime, then your laws fear trust." The hall grew quiet. Elias continued, voice steady. "Humans don't survive because we control each other. We survive because we stand together, by choice." Some elders shifted uncomfortably. Salith felt tears threaten, but she held them back. The High Elder's voice hardened. "This changes nothing." "Maybe not today," Elias said, "but it will." The council withdrew to deliberate. Minutes felt like hours. When they returned, the elder spoke. "Salith will not be executed," he said. Relief swept the room. "She will be isolated until a final decision is reached. The human will be restricted from contact." Elias's heart sank. But Salith was alive. As guards led her away again, she turned her head just enough to see him. Their eyes met. No words were spoken. None were needed. The laws had not broken yet, but they had begun to bend. Time moved slowly after the judgment. Salith was kept in a quiet section beneath the council hall, not a prison, but not freedom either. The room was larger than before, with a narrow window that showed a piece of the sky. Guards changed often. Some avoided looking at her. Some watched her with open curiosity. She spent long hours thinking. She thought about her childhood lessons, about obedience, about how the elders said emotions were dangerous because they caused war. She had believed them. She had lived by those rules. Then she thought about Elias. He had never asked her to break the law. He had never demanded loyalty. He had simply treated her as someone who mattered. That thought still burned strong inside her. Above the chambers, the city of Velmora felt different. Whispers moved faster than official words. Young citizens shared quiet conversations in research halls and transit corridors. Some spoke of Salith with fear. Others spoke of her with respect. She chose, they said. She dared to choose. Elias felt the tension everywhere. Humans were now watched more closely. Meetings were limited. Movement required escorts. Still, the human delegation stayed. Leaving now would send the wrong message. Elias refused to return to Earth. She stood for something, he told the commander. Leaving would make her stand meaningless. The commander studied him carefully. "You understand this could cost you your career." Elias nodded. "Some things cost more if you walk away." Permission was granted for him to remain as an advisor, but not as a free agent. He accepted without complaint. Every spare moment, Elias studied Velmoran history. He discovered that centuries ago, before the strict laws, Velmora had been a place of art, music, and emotional expression. Those ages ended after a long civil conflict. The survivors blamed passion for the destruction. Laws replaced trust. Order replaced choice. But the old texts still existed, and they spoke of balance, not suppression. Elias shared what he found with a small group of alien scholars who were willing to listen. At first, they were cautious. then curious. "This text suggests bonding improves neural stability," one scientist said quietly. "That contradicts council doctrine," another replied. "Doctrine can be wrong," Elias said. Not everyone agreed, but the discussion had begun. Below, Salith noticed changes too. She was allowed access to data terminals. The council claimed it was to assess her mental stability. She knew better. They wanted to see if isolation would break her. It didn't. Instead, she read old histories. Forbidden research. Reports sealed for generations. She learned that the laws were not as unbreakable as she had believed. There were exceptions. Rare. Buried. Forgotten. One clause spoke of cross-cultural stabilizing bonds during periods of social transition. Salith's heart raced. Velmora was changing. Slowly. Uneasily. That meant the law itself might bend. If pushed carefully. She requested an audience with the council. The request shocked them. The High Elder reviewed it in silence. "She is persistent," one elder muttered. "Persistence can become influence," another warned. Still, denying her now would look like fear. The audience was granted. Salith stood once more in the council hall. No restraints, no assigned mate beside her, just her own strength. "You requested to speak," the High Elder said. "You will speak briefly." Salith bowed her head in respect. "I will speak truthfully." She lifted her gaze. "Our laws were created to protect us," she said. "But protection should not mean stagnation." Murmurs spread. "Humans are not conquerors," she continued. "They are allies, and my bond with one of them did not weaken me. It clarified me." An elder scoffed. "Emotion clouds judgment." "Fear does," Salith replied calmly. "Not emotion." Silence followed. She took a slow breath. "I do not ask for exemption. I ask for evaluation. Study the bond. Measure it. If it proves harmful, I will accept separation." Elias felt his chest tighten as he listened from the side chamber. The elders exchanged looks. "This is unprecedented," the High Elder said. "So was my choice," Salith answered. The council recessed again. Days passed. No decision. The city waited. Then, something unexpected happened. A border alarm. An outer Velmoran research station sent a distress signal. Power failure. Structural damage. Scientists trapped inside unstable terrain. Velmoran rescue teams hesitated. The region was dangerous. Humans did not. Before approval was even requested, a small human unit launched with emergency equipment. Elias was among them. "We can stabilize the structure," Elias said. "But we need cooperation," Velmoran commanders argued. But time was running out. Permission was granted. The rescue was difficult, dangerous. Human and alien teams worked side by side under pressure. When an energy conduit collapsed, Elias shielded a Velmoran scientist with his own body. He was injured. Not badly, but enough to matter. The station was saved. No lives lost. The footage spread across Velmora within hours. Humans risking themselves without command, without obligation. For others. Salith watched the report from her chamber. Her skin glowed bright with emotion she did not hide. The council could not ignore this. The High Elder called an emergency session. "Public opinion is shifting," one elder said sharply. "Then guide it," another replied. The High Elder closed his eyes briefly. "Bring Salith. Bring the human." When Elias entered the chamber, still bearing signs of injury, Salith felt relief flood her. She stood taller. "You endangered yourself," she said quietly. He smiled faintly. "Worth it." The High Elder watched them both. "This bond," he said slowly, has not weakened either of you. Salith spoke. It has strengthened us. The elder exhaled. We will begin formal evaluation. It was not freedom, but it was not rejection either. As they were led out, Elias and Salith walked side by side, not touching, not separated. The laws still stood, but for the first time in generations, they were no longer unquestioned, and Velmora had taken its first step toward change. The evaluation period began quietly, but nothing about it felt calm. Salith and Elias were placed in a shared research complex near the edge of Velmora's capital. It was not a home and not a prison. Sensors watched every movement. Observers recorded every word, every pause, every emotional shift in Salith's skin. The council called it an experiment. Many citizens called it a test of courage. Salith was informed of the conditions clearly. She could remain with Elias under supervision. If the bond showed signs of instability, aggression, or social harm, it would be declared dangerous. The consequences would be permanent separation and exile for her. She accepted without hesitation. Elias accepted too, though no one required him to. He signed documents that limited his freedom and placed him under alien authority. You don't have to do this, the human commander told him quietly. Elias shook his head. If I walk away now, everything she stood for collapses. Life inside the complex was simple on the surface. Shared meals, long conversations, structured tasks designed to measure cooperation and emotional response. But beneath that simplicity was constant pressure. Salith felt it every moment, the awareness of being watched, judged, measured not as a person, but as a risk. At first, she struggled. Velmoran training taught emotional restraint. Human closeness stirred feelings she had never learned to hide. Her skin shifted colors more often. Observers noted it with concern. Instability is increasing, one report said. Salith read the note later and felt fear twist inside her. Elias noticed immediately. You're trying too hard to be what they expect, he said gently. If I fail, everything ends, she replied. He nodded. Then don't perform. Just be honest. Honesty was the hardest thing she had ever attempted. The next evaluation focused on stress response, artificial emergencies, time pressure, conflicting instructions. During one test, Salith froze. Old training demanded obedience to authority. Elias chose cooperation instead of command. He asked for her input, waited for her decision. She made it. The system stabilized. Observers exchanged surprised glances. Data showed improved efficiency when choice was shared. Outside the complex, Velmora changed faster than the council liked. Young citizens gathered in quiet groups, discussing the experiment openly. Some elders resisted, calling it dangerous influence. Others remained silent, watching carefully. Scientists released preliminary findings. Bonded pairs showed increased problem-solving ability and emotional resilience. The council tried to suppress the information. It spread anyway. Then came the challenge the council did not plan for. A neighboring system sent an urgent diplomatic warning. A trade route collapse threatened multiple worlds. Velmora's fleets were delayed. Humans offered immediate assistance, but coordination required rapid trust and shared command. The High Elder hesitated. Trusting humans openly would legitimize the bond experiment. Refusing could cause economic disaster. The decision fractured the council. In the end, necessity won. A joint task force was formed, and Seilith was requested as an advisor. The request shocked everyone. She is under evaluation, one elder protested. Which makes her the most studied example of human-alien cooperation, another replied. Seilith was informed privately. You are not required to accept, the High Elder said. She looked at Elias. If I go, she asked softly, will this hurt the evaluation? It will define it, the elder replied. She accepted. The mission was tense.
Different species, different command styles.
Fear of failure hanging over every decision. When conflict arose between Velmoran officers and human pilots, Salith stepped forward. She spoke calmly, translated intent, not just words, explained emotional signals that Velmorans usually ignored and humans openly expressed. Elias backed her without speaking over her. The route was stabilized. Losses were prevented. The mission succeeded. When they returned, the public reaction was impossible to ignore. News feeds filled with images of cooperation, of Salith standing between species, not weakened, but strong. The council convened in emergency session. This has gone too far, one elder said. She is changing us. She is revealing us, another replied. The High Elder remained silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Our laws were meant to protect Velmora from destruction, he said, but they were never meant to stop growth. The chamber stilled. The bond has not destabilized society, he continued. Resistance to it has. A final decision was scheduled. Until then, Salith and Elias were permitted limited freedom, together. That night, they stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Lights shimmered below, like stars brought to the ground. I never wanted to cause this much trouble, Silas said quietly. Elias smiled softly. History never changes, because people behave. She looked at him. Are you afraid? He thought for a moment. Yes, but not of choosing. She reached out, hesitant, then certain, and took his hand. No alarm sounded. No guards moved. For the first time, no one stopped them. Above them, the sky of Velmora glowed faintly brighter. The laws were still standing, but they were shaking. The final council session was announced across Velmora at dawn. Every public channel carried the same message. Attendance was mandatory for all senior leaders, scholars, and representatives of allied species. No one remembered the last time such a gathering had been called. Salith stood in her quarters, looking at the city through the wide window. The light reflected softly on her skin. It shimmered, not with fear this time, but with quiet resolve. Elias waited behind her, giving her space. This is it, he said gently. Yes, she replied. No matter the outcome. He stepped closer. Whatever happens, you didn't fail. She turned to face him. Neither did you. They walked together to the council hall. Outside, thousands of Velmorans gathered in silence. Some watched with hope, some with anger, some with uncertainty. Human delegates stood among them, not separated, not hidden. Inside the hall, the elders took their seats. The High Elder stood last. Today, he said, we decide the future of our laws. Silith was invited to stand at the center. Elias was allowed beside her. That alone would have been unthinkable cycles ago. The High Elder spoke slowly, each word carefully chosen. For generations, we believed control ensured survival. We believed choice led to chaos. These beliefs shaped our laws. He paused. Recent events have challenged this foundation. Data screens activated around the hall. Statistics appeared. Research results. Mission outcomes. Rescue footage. Cooperation metrics. Bond teams showed higher success rates. Emotional acknowledgement reduced conflict. Forced compliance increased long-term instability. These are facts, the elder said. Not emotions! A senior elder rose angrily. You would overturn centuries of order because of one girl? Salith stepped forward before anyone else could speak. I am not special, she said clearly. I am simply visible. Murmurs spread. There are others who feel as I did, she continued. They were silent because silence was safer.
I chose not to be.
The angry elder pointed at Elias. And this human? Would you bind our future to an outsider? Elias did not answer immediately. When he spoke, his voice was calm. I don't want to own your future, he said. I don't want to lead it. I only want to walk beside someone who chose me, and to respect her world as much as my own. Silence filled the hall. The High Elder raised his hand. The question before us is not whether this bond exists, he said. It does. The question is whether our laws serve life or fear. The council withdrew for the final deliberation. Time stretched. Outside, the crowd waited. No one spoke loudly. No one left. Salith closed her eyes briefly. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine both outcomes: exile, freedom, loss, change. She felt Elias's presence beside her, steady, unmoving. The doors opened. The elders returned. The High Elder stepped forward. Salith of Velmora, he said, you broke the law. She bowed her head. I did. And in doing so, he continued, you revealed its limits. A breath passed through the hall. The council has decided, the elder said. The mating law will be revised. Gasps echoed. Choice will be permitted, he continued, under mutual consent and transparent evaluation. Forced pairings will end. Shock rippled outward. This change applies to all citizens, the High Elder said, not just one. Salith's knees nearly weakened. Elias let out a slow breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The elder turned his gaze to them both. Salith, he said, you are no longer under sentence. Your bond is recognized by law. A wave of emotion surged through her skin, bright and uncontrolled. She did not hide it. The hall erupted, not in anger, but in noise. Debate, awe, relief. The High Elder raised his voice once more. Change is not weakness, he said. It is adaptation, and adaptation is survival. Outside, the announcement reached the crowd. Some cheered. Some stood stunned. Some cried quietly. Across Velmora, screens lit with the same words. The law has changed. In the days that followed, the world felt different. Not perfect, not calm, but alive. Citizens spoke openly. Some struggled with the loss of old certainty. Others embraced the new freedom with cautious hope. Councils restructured. Evaluations replaced assignments. Choice became a concept taught, not forbidden. Salith walked through the city without guards for the first time since the ceremony. People watched her, not as a criminal, not as a symbol, but as a person. Some nodded. Some turned away. Some smiled. Elias remained by her side, learning Velmoran customs more deeply now. Not as an observer, but as a participant. One evening they stood beneath the open sky outside the city. The stars of Velmora shimmered like scattered lights. I used to believe laws were unbreakable, Salith said softly. Elias smiled. Turns out they're just ideas that forgot how to change. She looked at him. Do you ever regret staying? He shook his head. No. This was never about comfort. She reached for his hand. This time, no sensors blinked. No observers took notes. It was simply allowed. Far above them, ships traveled between worlds, carrying news of Velmora's decision. Other civilizations listened. Some dismissed it. Some feared it. Some began to question their own laws. And so, quietly, without conquest or war, humanity did what it always did best. By choosing empathy over control, it changed the stars, not because it demanded power, but because it refused to kneel to fear.